Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2. We're recording backwards. Welcome to episode 2 of Shit Talkin with RobsFault. Uh, you know, we're here with good friend, brother, business partner, John K, Mr. Chef Kush, Mr. Mr. Do It All. Mr. Do It All. If you need something uh, to be cooked for you, it can be cooked. How you doing today, brother?
Doing all right, man. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so, as you all know, after seeing the introduction, this is going to be a new channel on the Dad Bros, where we get a little bit deeper into things, a little bit deeper into the conversation. So, first guest here, Chef Kush. For those of y'all who don't know, me and Chef Kush go back 4 years, 5 years.
Going on 5 years, I think.
Going on 5 years, yeah. Um, a long story short, uh, we worked for the same franchise, different stores. Um, some stores went left and said, "Hey, bro, come on over here, take the ride with us." And he joined, and that ride ended up going right. And we said, "Hey, bro, well, let's go left anyways." And here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us. Obviously, I know a lot about your background. Uh, for the people watching, you are a chef. Tell us about being a chef.
Yeah. So right out of high school, I didn't really go directly into the food industry. I went a different direction. Actually, in high school, I was in a dual credit course for manufacturing maintenance to be like a technician and a machinist. So totally separate,
Yeah,
very
I don't
different
see
field. Yeah.
it.
So yeah, out of high school, I was actually working in factories, working on machines, machining stuff, uh, doing all that stuff, and got tired of the factory life. And one of my homies hit me up and said, "Hey, I think I can get you a job. Just call this place and tell them you know such and such." And I did that, and that was my first restaurant job. I mean, literally, I walked in, told them that, and they're like, "Okay, here's the I-9, here's the tax form. Like, you're hired. Come meet our chef." So that was my introduction into the food industry, basically. And their chef at that restaurant was happened to be on break, uh, out behind the kitchen, smoking weed. And so I get introduced, to walk up, "Hey, what's up? How's it going? You smoke weed? Hell yeah! Here you go." And from that moment, I was like, I think I know enough about this industry. I think I want to be in this one.
That's all you needed to know, huh?
Like knives, fire, and you can smoke weed.
Don't get better than that.
Yeah, I mean, what else could you want?
I mean, well, we know Rob's
I
fault. Let's
mean,
not get into that.
but for me, it checked a lot of the boxes.
Yeah.
And another factor that I didn't really know going into it until I kind of had some experience under my feet was that in kitchens, you get this. It's a fast pace. You gotta have urgency, and I called it like the kitchen quickness.
Hmm.
And like you get into like this flow state, and you're doing 100 different things, and you're going really rapidly, and it's really excellent for efficiency and production.
Yeah.
Um, so I got into that, got into the restaurants. Eventually, wound up going to culinary school. I did do the 2 year associate's degree at Le Cordon Bleu up in Austin. Um, that was great. I learned a lot, but I think during my internship, after the schooling, I learned so much more on the job.
Of course.
And
Hands
so
on always
yeah,
always pushes you further.
you know,
Yeah.
and I'm one of those types of people that I got to learn by doing.
Hmm.
Like I can't just watch, I can't just write it, I can't just hear it. I got to do it to learn it. Um, so that kind of just blended really well with how I learned and how I operated, and ended up working in a handful of really high quality, kind of ritzy, fine dining establishments. Um, the biggest one, which unfortunately they're no longer serving dinner or lunch anymore, is called Apis, and it's about 30 minutes west of downtown Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of those restaurants where we could source all of our ingredients and tell you exactly where every single piece on that dish came from, and it was all within the state of Texas.
Oh man.
Most of it was farm to table, local farms within 50 miles of the restaurant. It was one of those, when dinner service started, we had all of our reservations. We knew exactly who we were feeding, what their allergies and preferences were, and most of the time, their dining course was on average 12 dishes. And at most, we had people coming in for 32 courses.
32 courses.
And so that was like a 3 hour dinner
So
meal.
so for the guy like me, people watching out there that are like me who like just fucking serve my shit. What is a course? What makes a course?
So, in the fine dining world, a course would basically be a plate. And so, in the fine dining world, you have a structure of the dinner. So, you've got like your appetizer, and then you've got like what you call an amuse bouche, which is like a palate cleanser. And then you've got like your main dish, and then you can have another bouche, another palate cleanser, and then you can move on to your desserts.
So off topic, kind of. Being here from San Antonio, being a Mexican man, one of my favorite plates since I can remember is the huevo ranchero plate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and all the taquerias I go to, I order that, and that's how I judge that taqueria.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, I don't know if it's the whole hearts and minds thing, all that bullshit. Uh, they stopped serving the ranchero sauce on top of the egg. And do you want it on the side? Well, then it's not huevo ranchero, right? But when they do put it on the side, and every time I tell them, no, put that shit on top, I'm ordering huevo ranchero, not eggs with ranchero sauce on the side. When they do put it on the side anyways, after asking me and telling them I want it on top, they still put it on the side. Is that considered a course? It's its own plate.
Nah, I consider that like a condiment. It's an extra thing that's an addition to the plate.
Okay. So let's go to the American breakfast spots I go to.
Yeah.
It's always an omelet. Always with hash browns.
Uh-huh.
Always. For some reason, they bring the hash browns on its own plate when you could just put it on the same plate. There's plenty of space. Is those hash browns considered an extra course?
I wouldn't consider that an extra course because, especially the way that, in my understanding, like the way that the menu is constructed, it's a all one.
Yes.
It's like a meal.
Okay. So let's go back to this. Those aren't considered courses,
Right.
but it's a plate. You just said 32 courses and you brought up a plate a course.
And so what that means is like, I give it an example. So you might send out the first course would be like bread and butter. It's like typical rolls at Luby's or Ryan's, you know.
And that's a course.
It's an appetizer meal. And then the next course might be something like egg toast with some beef tartare on the top.
Beef
And
who?
beef tartare. It's like ground raw beef, but it's really high quality.
Since I've met John and his wife, my palate level has gone from like the basics. They've introduced me to so much shit. I can't pronounce none of it. It looks horrible. It does not look appetizing, but the shit is great. There's a thing called shepherd's pie.
Yep.
I thought the shepherd was the good Lord. He got his own pie. It's got tons of vegetables in it. I don't do vegetables. I eat that thing up. Shepherd's pie, is that one course?
There's
There's
whole
a lot
thing
in it.
itself, man.
There's a
whole
lot
meal
in it.
One.
Like 32 courses.
Yeah.
How
so
do you?
Each
I've heard like
course-
5-course meals. I don't think I've heard of anything more than a 5-course meal.
Right. And so when you have something that's that big, that's that extravagant, 32 courses, you're going to have some plates that are like 1 or 2 bites. And, you know, it's like 5 minutes and you're done. Next course. And then the other one might be You might have a steak with some potato puree and like a little sauce. That'd be like the main entree dish. And then you go on to some more sides and then move on to the desserts. And it might be like 3 or 4 different
So
desserts. But they're all, most of them are really small. So it's designed in a way that you're not just completely fucking stuffed by the time you walk out. You should be just really well and satiated.
so let's take the basic place, like Texas Roadhouse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I go in there, I order the filet, I get the loaded baked potato or loaded mash, depending on how I'm feeling. Maybe lately, you know, I've been experimenting a little bit, so maybe add, you know, some broccoli or asparagus to it. Obviously, it comes with the rolls. You Texas Roadhouse rolls. That's
With the
let's not
honey
get
butter,
started.
oh man.
Is it honey? I thought it was
Honey
cinnamon
or
butter.
cinnamon,
Yeah,
both, yes.
man. Look, if she won't let me lick that butter off of her, I don't want her. But anyways, so you got all that. That to me, I'm counting 4 or 5 things. To say you get the glass of whiskey. How many courses is that?
Say like you got your rolls. That's like your first initial
Most
appetizer.
people would get the salad, not
Right.
me.
Some people get salad. I'd say that's another dish, and then
So
you got your main course, which is like your steak, your potatoes. That's dish number three,
3.
and then if you have dessert, that's 4 dishes.
Okay.
That's that in my mind. That's how I would break it down.
Does the drink count as a course? No.
No,
Okay.
I don't count drinks as courses.
So you go through all that. What was the last restaurant that you were working at?
Last restaurant, I was working at two, so I was
If you don't want to name them, you don't have to.
no,
But
that's cool.
obviously, that was the end of.
Because one of them isn't. They didn't survive the pandemic. It was a
Okay.
little cafe in New Braunfels that was inside the Children's Museum.
And okay.
So Monday through Friday, I would wake up and go set up and run lunch service in that restaurant in the Children's Museum for like all the kids, all the guests, and we also had a catering room out the back that was for like big organizations like Leo's Club, Lions, those Rotary, that type of stuff. So I would also help with the catering. And then in the evenings and on weekends, I would go and be the assistant kitchen manager at a bed and breakfast out in Kyle.
Okay.
And that was one of those kind of similar to Apis. We could tell you where all the ingredients came from. Most everything was sourced within Texas, and everything was done by scratch as much as possible.
Yeah.
It was one of those all inclusive, really nice out in the hill country. We got the garden where we pick our vegetables and fresh herbs every day. Um, so those were the last two restaurants that I worked at before I got out and started into the CBD health and wellness industry.
So what made you do the transition from saying, you know what, I'm done cooking, I want to get into CBD, and within that process, was it I just want to get into the cannabis industry, or I want to be a chef in the cannabis industry?
Um, it was kind of a realization of a couple of things, um, just along the lines of what the industry standards were like living in that life, being in that life of managing restaurants and just being in the kitchen, you know,
Yeah.
all day, every day, 6 or 7 days a week, um, and also trying to have a family, raise a daughter. It's like those two things are really hard to
Yeah.
combine and do at the same time. So it was a realization of that those having those two types of things can't really coexist
Yeah.
well. Um, so I knew that I needed to make some changes, but I still wanted to, apply my craft and use the knowledge and the experience that I had acquired. I didn't want to just throw that away and go a completely different direction.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to help people, and I'd always had an interest in like herbalism or botany and just how um, we can make medicine from plants and how all of today's medicines basically come from various combinations or extracts of plants. And so cannabis was one of those things that I kind of found early on as a teenager that when I gave it a chance, it was just kind of like, this
Yeah.
works. I see why so many people enjoy it, and the medicinal benefits, not just the recreational, go out, have a good time and not worry about stuff. But me being somebody that was diagnosed with ADHD very early on and was basically a Ritalin kid, having access to cannabis and allowing my brain to kind of have that relaxation and unwinding time um, definitely influenced the direction I wanted to go. And so I kind of just combined all that and got into the CBD stores. Started walking around and checking out the different stores and seeing which ones I liked the best, and ended up working at a store that I think you were working at, or part time working at.
Yeah, I would help out with that store. I worked for a different one of the other franchises stores out of Kyle, um, and I would help out at the other stores.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, did my best to play a bigger role in it, build more contacts in it. Um, but that one was always interesting.
Yeah.
Always, um, we leave that for another day.
There was always something going on over there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, I mean, in the industry, it's been like that. I mean, uh, we've been doing this. I think I started maybe 8 months before you. So we've kind of been doing this together the whole time. Lots of ups and downs. Within your experience in the industry, what has been your hardest time?
Um,
What is, for someone watching this, uh, and it could, if they listen, because we always say, do learn from my mistakes, instead of making a mistake yourself. For someone watching this, what is something that you can say, hey, learn from my mistake?
I would say some of the most valuable lessons, which coincidentally end up being some of the most expensive as well, as most entrepreneurs know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, is grow organically. Don't try to get ahead of yourself with equipment or merch or even collabs.
Yeah.
Like, make sure that you're going at a healthy pace that you can keep up and be consistent about, and set it in a sustainable way. I think is the best one, because we've still got molds that I don't even really use that we had custom made, and it was a big minimum order, and I went ahead with it, and I'm like, now I'm sitting on molds getting dusty.
Yeah.
And that, molds aren't cheap like that, getting custom. But that was one of those things. Being a new company, I thought this product was gonna take off immediately, and I wanted to, as an entrepreneur putting out new products, you want to plan ahead. Like, you want to make sure that you're able to scale,
Mm-hmm.
but don't go too big too fast. Is
Yeah.
what I would say.
Okay. Okay. Um, you talked about wanting to help people. What was it that said, "Hey, man, I want to"? What was it that Yes, I'm leaving the cannabis, or I'm leaving the culinary industry, going over to the cannabis industry. I want to help people. I want to. What's the backstory there? What said, "Hey, I need to do something more"?
So I've always kind of had this, like, drive to help people. It's why I was kind of really driven towards the food industry, because it's a service industry, and
Mm-hmm.
it's you really just got to be in service to people. And so that was a big chunk of wanting to help people, and the other part was that finding out and kind of understanding at an early age how much of a medicine cannabis was. Then, as I got older, learning more and more about different plants and plant medicines, and seeing how, as a society, as a culture, Americans, we've really lost a lot of this knowledge of how to heal ourselves and how to
Mm-hmm.
manage the things that come with being human. Um, there's so many drugs and prescriptions and so many things that you can get over the counter. Just throw pills at this, that, and the other, and it's not really addressing the cause.
Yeah.
Um, and I did a lot of research, and I found that cannabis helps with so many different things in so many different ways, and it's just we're continuously learning about it. Like we're still learning about all of its different benefits and all the different cannabinoids and terpenes and flavonoids that this one plant can produce. Um, so finding that out and kind of learning how to apply that was a really big goal. And one of the main driving factors behind that was for my father, who has degenerative disc disease, which basically means that the discs in between the vertebrae and your spine are weathering away at a really rapid pace. So you end up getting bone on bone, um,
Mm.
in a really unhealthy way. So my father went through a handful and a half of spine surgeries, um, all the hardware, all the therapy, all the stuff that comes with that. And unfortunately, at that time, doctors were prescribing opiates left and right like they were candy. And so that was one of the things I kind of saw the decline of my father into the opiate use and kind of seeing how that medication, those drugs can just develop a stranglehold on somebody's life.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to do something and find a product and a way to kind of provide an alternative to that. If we can give you something that's healthier, that's not addictive, that's not going to destroy your insides or your brain or make you, non-functioning during family events, like, let's do that.
Yeah.
So that was another one of the huge driving factors, was getting to a point where we can provide that alternative for my father and for people in similar situations.
Okay. We so get into the cannabis industry, you start opening up your business. Um we found out dang together. Talk to people through that process. What it took when we say we've been doing this together for a long time. We started what is it called? What's the proper term? Practicing
Yeah.
our
R
R and
and
D.
D, yeah.
Yeah, we started R&D. We started our DNR back back 4 or 5 years ago. And it was basics. You know all the leftovers, pretty much all the leftovers. The flour with the seeds in it. Messed up pens, broken pens. Uh, the process was a long time.
Yeah, it's come a long way. Multiple processes were developed along the way. A lot of those were dropped for more efficient ways, more efficient materials. But yeah, I mean, we was trying to figure it out from just about nothing, um, doing the best that we could with what we could get our hands on, basically. And I think those first 6 months of making gummies, it was big trial and error.
Yeah.
Some batches hit, some batches didn't, until I really kind of figured out and understood the science behind what I was trying to do and how to make things bioavailable and what the science on that really was.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, those first 6 months, I mean, it was a batch or two a week. We're just trying to get it right, trying to make it work, and throwing more and more ingredients and more time at it.
And now, how many batches a week?
I mean, when I do a big production run, I can do like 5 batches in a week, and that'll set me up for about a month or two.
So, you know, what has been your most memorable? DNR, I know it's not DNR, people. It took me a while to learn R&D. But what has been your most memorable um, trial and error?
Um, Man, for me, I'm one of those like I've got a goofy tolerance. So that was for me. Of course, I tested all of these products and all the batches until I found what actually worked. But I never really like. I'm not one that gets too high from edibles. Like that just doesn't happen for me. But so I think the most memorable uh, time I can think of is just all the people telling me when I did get those batches right. Like the 300 milligram nerd bites. Like, yo,
Yeah,
getting the text like a day or two later after they picked up, like, yo, I ate the whole thing 2 days ago. Why am I still high? Like, I was supposed to go to work yesterday. I didn't even wake up.
you were told instructions.
Like,
That's always my biggest thing.
we
Like
always
we
warned
tell
everybody.
cut it this way, cut it that way, take this much. Yeah, I got it. Okay, cool. I'll do that. And then come back. Hey, that thing messed me up. That shit fucked me up. Like, well, I mean, what did you take? Oh, you took the whole thing. Oh, what we told you not to do.
Yeah.
What we told you not to do. But then sometimes, like for me, um, I don't ever dose out.
Mm.
When we're sampling products, I don't dose out. I'm sampling it. I'm trying it. So a lot of times I'm like, oh, I'm just grabbing scraps. You grab enough scraps without paying attention, your day's done.
Yeah.
Your day's done. I think my most memorable one wasn't trying our products, but when we went up to that one lab.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we went to a lab to work to try a bunch of their stuff, and um, we tried everything. And I did not want to look at the dosage of what we were trying. I'm over here trying for flavor, like, oh yeah, that tastes good. This tastes good. Next thing you know, we got fucking Delta 8s, Delta 9s, CBDs, THC ABCDs. Like, we tried everything. I went back. We got back from that. Well, immediately I was hungry and I was mad because no one wanted to go eat. Then we get back to our home base, and I see the big old bucket of Cheeto puffs, the balls, the cheese balls. I'm just walking around eating those things, and I passed out 4 or 5 hours. I got up, cruised across the street, not far, thinking I was good to McDonald's. I ate some McDonald's. I passed out in the car, sitting there eating McDonald's in the parking lot. I was parked, I was, I was parked. I'm like, I'm not driving. I'm hungry now. So I sat there and I passed out for another 4 or 5 hours before going home. Yeah, but that one, man, I was just like, man, why would I not think to, okay, this is 10 milligrams. Why was I not thinking about that? I was just going at it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you got white chocolate. You got, this, you got these caramel. You got this shot. Like, let's try it all. Yeah. And that's definitely one of the most memorable ones. After that is Vegas, but Vegas that was accidental, kind of. What's what's yours, man? What is your like? Fuck, I overdid it.
Um, Man, like that's what I was saying. Like for edibles, I don't really like get to a point of overdoing it. Uh, the times where I get to the like, fuck, I shouldn't have had that last, whatever it was, is like when I go out camping or go to like festivals and shit, and you're like walking around in the sun all day, probably drinking, probably smoking as well,
Yeah, microdosing,
and dosing, and taking edibles, and it's like probably like 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock. You get to that point, you're just like, fuck.
Yeah, that's what happened in Vegas. Vegas
Why
was
did I do that?
was a nice conjunction of a little bit of a lot of everything. Yeah, for sure, man. Good times, man.
Always valuable lessons, though.
Valuable lessons that we'll learn not to do it every day, but we'll still do it at least once or twice a year,
Yeah.
at least. Um, so cannabis industry, man, Chef Kush. You've been going at it for 4 years now, 4 or 5 years now. Um, what is your what is your end goal here, man? What do you want out of all this?
My end goal would be to have a staple brand that is recognizable all across the state, that you can find in you know good stores, reputable stores, almost like a name brand type deal.
Yeah,
Something that can be like a legacy. I want this. I want to create something that's like a lifestyle brand where people can know that they're gonna get a quality product and know it's gonna be the same every time, batch to batch. Um, Something to be sustainable, consistent, and that will be healthy. Because ideally, that's the goal with this the whole thing, man. Is getting people to live healthier lifestyles.
hmm
Provide healthier alternatives to what the culture and what the doctors are trying to get everybody onto. Make something that's accessible, sustainable, consistent, and reliable.
yeah, yeah,
Because I think that's a lot. A lot of us in the cannabis industry, we're trying to get to that point where we're really on the legal side,
hmm
where we're really not. Every time we step out of our front door, we're not worried about looking over our shoulder. We're not worried about, are we going to make it home today?
You know what? Let's talk about that, man. Being in Texas, in the cannabis industry in Texas, man. What's your Where you at, man? Where do you tell us the struggles being from here in Texas and being in the cannabis industry?
Um, it's a struggle for sure. It's a difficult thing because they really are pretty hard on cannabis in our hometown, at least.
In New Braunfels, yeah.
In San Antonio and Austin, it's not so strict, so we don't have to worry too much when we're out here. But just being in Texas, it's like driving from city to city, we got to be careful.
hmm
We got to make sure that we're clean and that everything is up to date and everything looks proper anytime we go anywhere. Just for the fact of the industry that we're in, just for being business owners in the cannabis industry, we can't afford to be caught without those things. We can't afford to be caught lacking, because if we do, the state might say, "All right, gotcha, bye,"
Yeah,
and I might not see my daughter for who knows how long.
yeah,
Um, with that being said, I think legalization in a lot of states has brought a lot more hardship for the people trying to do it right and trying to do it good.
yeah,
So it's kind of
yeah. I was in my, you know, I'm on probation. I was doing my classes, and a lot of the classes or a lot of the people that were in the classes, man, I hear the stories from them, and even some of our own business partners. It's like, man, like y'all are the ones that they talk about. And when I'm in that class, what brought me to the industry was, legalization and realizing the medicine behind it and wanting to do good. When I'm in some of these classes and oh this and the other, like I can go without it. I don't need it. I utilize it as a medicine, instead of taking pills, or instead of using all this big pharma stuff that has all these other side effects. I realized today I'm on pills for my eyes. And there's this other pill that was for I forget it helps with acid reflux. I have acid reflux issues. I'm taking it because the other medication that I'm taking causes acid reflux.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then the other medication that I'm taking also causes higher sugar levels. Which I'm diabetic, so I've got to be able to control that, but I can't control it because of this other medication.
Mm-hmm.
So it's things like that that turned me towards cannabis, turned me towards psychedelics. Like, I'm really taking this whole other pill to counteract this, and I've also got to take this other pill to counteract this from one pill that I need. When you can just microdose, you can utilize cannabis, and it don't got to be. And that's the thing, people, they hear cannabis, they hear weed, and they're talking about smoking. And you don't even have to do edibles. You can do teas, topicals, tinctures, like so many different forms out there. So I mean, I completely understand being here in the state of Texas, and there's a lot of them that they don't care about all the other stuff. They don't care about the teas. They don't care about the pain creams, the topicals. Even people giggle and stuff talking about the lubes, but I mean, if you're a woman going through, what do women go through when they get older?
Menopause.
Menopause.
Or if you have endometriosis.
Yeah,
like,
those lubes are very healthy for you. It don't have to be utilized in a sexual way. These things are very healthy for you, and it's coming from a natural plant. Natural, from cannabis, stuff that heals. And so we have this huge negative stigma, and it's like, man, we could do so much more with this if we open up our eyes and open up our minds. And what are we doing just sitting here trying to? People just want to trap all day, and that's why we're looking over our shoulders. Oh, it's cool. It's not cool. Sit inside that cell. Have those handcuffs on you. Have your mother watching you get put in the car.
Shit is not fun.
It's not cool. All because of the negative stigma behind it. And uh, I think we've worked together for a long time. I think we both entered this with the intentions of breaking that stigma.
Yeah.
And it's been trying. It has been trying. Especially trying to do it the right way. You don't make money when you do it the right way. You do not make money when you do it the right way.
Just call it the slow way.
Yeah, call it the slow way. Yeah, because
no, for real. That's another thing that's like in industries that are like, it's not a new industry, but coming to the legal market is new. Mm-hmm. So when you have things like that, and you have all sorts of different types of producers and manufacturers, I mean, you got multi-state operators that got operations in California and Florida and Oklahoma, and they're coming in and flooding our shelves, and they got they're selling 10 packs of gummies for $5. And the stores want to buy those because they buy those packs of gummies for $1 a pack.
Yeah.
And that really kind of squashes the ability for mom and pops to do well. Because for mom and pop, or for somebody small like myself, like when we were starting out, we couldn't sell no 10-pack for $1.
Oh no, not
sir.
We still can't.
Our labor cost was way too high. Like our ingredients costs were way too high because we're small people. We're not able. We don't have the capital to go and buy 100 pounds of sugar, 100 pounds of corn syrup, 100 whatever the massive bulk quantities that these large operators are able to do to get their ingredients costs down, and then they got these massive manufacturing lines, so their labor cost is less than a cent per gummy, so it's like it really makes it hard for us to compete, or for any small companies to even get up, get started, really.
But if you want it, you can go for it. I mean, I think we've put the name out there enough now where I wouldn't consider us a major Texas brand, nowhere near, not even San Antonio brand. But the message is being put out there slowly.
Yeah.
It's being put out there, and through other avenues of expanding, putting the foot in different revenue spaces, it's helping. Getting a little bit more FaceTime in front of different customers and stuff like that. But it's definitely been a struggle. I mean, had some trying times.
Yeah.
Had some trying times. So far to this date, what has been your favorite, your best memory from the cannabis industry?
Man, the events that we do are like a dream come to life.
Yeah,
Like those things, just just being able to be in a safe space where like we know that we can do what we want to do, smoke how we want, be in that atmosphere where we can kind of not be a closet stoner for 2 hours. Like get a break from that. Like get get away from the stigma.
to interact with others,
Exactly.
like-minded, and
Exactly. For me, that's been one of the biggest kind of enjoyments that warms my heart. Like, I really get a lot from being able to provide that space and get these people out here so that we can all kind of experience that together and
yeah,
share it with others and help break the stigma together to everybody's communities,
yeah.
and being able to take workations.
Workations, man.
Workations.
Those have been memorable.
Hell yeah.
Definitely due for another one soon.
Yep.
So man, these y'all. For those of y'all who don't know, we have been putting in a lot of events over 2024. A lot. I haven't been. If I look sleepy right now, I got home early this morning, and I was back late this morning. I was back here late this morning. Our timetables, the time crunch has been so crunched. Um, it's it's been exhausting, but it has been the time of my life. Uh, and it's been, you mentioned about building the legacy and all that. Like, it's been a lot of the same for me. Like missing time away from the kids, but building something they can be proud of. Building something that they can be happy to. Hey, that's dad right there. You know, to the world, it's Rob's fault. To them, that's dad. That's dad, and it's been fun. It's been fun. A lot of these, I mean, and so, at times too, it's been like, fuck, pinch me. Like, I don't believe that we're doing this. The people that are calling me, I don't believe that this is happening. The conversations we're having. Like, where did this come from? Um, so it's been fun, but extremely exhausting. I'm looking at these next 8 days. I'm like, coffee, Red Bull, coffee, Red Bull, power naps. Like, these next 8 to 10 days are going to be these last 8 to 10 days. These last 2 months have been damn. But what it's provided for the team, in my opinion, for the team and for everything that we're trying to do, it's worth it. It's 100% worth it. Uh, you know, with all the worth itness, man, everything that's come through with it. I got to start closing up here. What is one thing? What's something that's on your mind? Something. Is there anything on your mind, or is there a word of motivation, or anything that you want to give, or something you want to call out? Whatever.
Um, I got two things. Um, the first thing I would say, um, as an entrepreneur, you just got to remember, like I said, if you're doing things the right way, you might as well call it the slow way. Organic growth is not fast,
Mm-hmm.
but if you do the work, you put in the time, and you're consistent about it, it gets to a point where you're pushing the ball up the hill, and you're pushing and you're pushing. Eventually, you're gonna get to a point where you're gonna have to hang on to that ball.
Yeah.
If you want to keep going, you're gonna have to hang on. And it's gonna be a lot of work. So keep pushing, keep doing the investments, keep betting on yourself. Uh, that ball will get to that top of the hill.
Yeah.
Another thing I would say, with the craziness that is the Texas hemp cannabis industry, I think this THCA thing has got a bad rap. There may have been some misunderstandings. Uh, I just want people to know this, that if THCA is the way that you get your bag, go for it. I think that's good. I'm not trying to hate on nobody's way to do their things. In fact, I just got a contract with the THCA store, so we'll be making some edibles for them. But my point in the last video was that I had yet to see somebody do it properly, to really see some legitimate THCA hemp flower. I didn't think it was legit. I didn't think it was possible to be legit. So I've seen it now done legitimately and correctly, and it's one of those things. It was kind of like when Delta 8 flower came out.
Yeah.
It was a very polarizing product, you know. People taking hemp flower and soaking it in Delta 8 distillate. Like, that's not a great thing. Just smoke real weed. And again, I kind of have the same stance on that. We're accepting this THCA instead of pushing harder for real weed. So, if that's your jam, go for it. If that's what works for you, more power to you. Yeah. But again, we need to be pushing for full plant legalization.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Coming up, we've got 420 coming up. We've got a lot of shows. We just did our first roll off. Shout out to Exotic Rose. Killed it. Very, Gas Monkey, Koala, Quality Customs, for partnering and, trusting to do this work with us. All Day Creations, Chef's Fault. It's been a wild ride, but couldn't think of another brother to do it with.
For real.
Very, very blessed to be here.
Likewise.
Dad Bros, thank you. Again, this is a new channel with Dad Bros. So I hope y'all enjoy it. We'll be bringing more interviews, more good times, more fun times. So, thank you. First episode, again, extremely exhausted. Got another event here in 2-3 hours.
Yep.
And doing our best to bring you everything we can bring you. Doing our best to bring you everything that we can offer. And we appreciate it. Appreciate y'all. So stay on the lookout. More episodes to come. More episodes being recorded this week. Where, when, I don't know. But it's definitely 2 or 3 more episodes being recorded this week. So stay on the lookout. Again, shout out Dad Bros for, bringing us on. Santa Cana, the home team, Puro Pinche Markets. It's been a wild 15 months.
That sounds about right. Shit.
It has been a wild 15 months. Where can they find you on social media?
At Chef Kush with underscore in the beginning, the middle, and the end, or at Chef's Fault with the underscore in the beginning and the middle. Also, Auden Creations LLC. That's the full white market company that's got all the 5-panel lab tests. We can ship all our products to all 50 states. Make sure you check us out.
Auden Creations, right there. You can also find them in my bio.
So we're out here in Santa Cana 5 days a week. Anytime there's an event, we're most likely here.
Chef Kush, a lot of underscores there. There you go. Oh, I'll just do that. Eventually, this podcast will get to the point where it's like, yeah, you can find him right here. And it's going to pop up. Bloop.
Oh, man, that's going to be tight.
That would be cool. One day. Baby steps.
Next episode.
Don't do it the right way, the slow way.
Slow way. Which is probably the right way.
Sometimes. And I always, if RobsFault would do it, think twice about doing it. Y'all have a blessed one. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Oh, yeah.
Hopping on this. I think it's the first episode, but apparently the introduction episode is the first one. I don't know. Thank y'all. Appreciate you. Y'all have a good one.
Y'all be safe.